welcome to another meeting of Sensory Friends. Now in Sensory Friends, it's our elementary school sensory program where we meet once a month and I show you how to create all these different fun sensory activities for you to play and enjoy. Now as of right now, as I mentioned before, this is a virtual meeting. Hopefully we'll be coming back to in-person pretty soon. But until then, feel free to create these awesome crafts from the comfort of your own home. Now, as you're aware, it's the month of January. And I know January is the start of the new year, but it's also the continuation of our winter season. Now, take a minute to think about, what do you think of when you think of the winter season? Do you think of snow? Do you think of snowmen? Do you think of having snowball fights? Do you think about snow angels? Do you think about school being closed for today? I know many of you boys and girls think about school being closed for today. I know I did as a kid. But do you also think spending a day curled up on the couch with a nice cup of hot chocolate? Doesn't hot chocolate smell and taste good? Well, I have a fun little craft for you that brings about the feeling of hot chocolate and the smell of hot chocolate too. I am going to show you today how to make hot chocolate Play-Doh. It's very nice to play with and it smells great. However, I am going to teach you how to make that, but a little bit later. The first thing I want to do is I want to read you a fun little story about winter. Does that sound like fun? And here's a good little winter book that everybody should be able to enjoy. It's called Big Snow. Big Snow. The author and illustrator is Jonathan Bean. Now, in case you don't remember, the author is the person who writes the words to the story. And the illustrator is the person who draws the pictures to the story. Jonathan Bean did both. And the publisher is Farrar Straus Giroux. Now, the publisher is the one who prints out the books and sells them to all the bookstores. Just going to double check something really quick. Alright, so are we ready? Take a look at this picture over here. Isn't that amazing? This doesn't look like there's snow on the ground, right? Interesting, huh? Hold on, let me move that back a little bit so everybody can see the awesome pictures. We got it right here. But take a look at that. Doesn't look like there's snow on the ground. Do you think there's going to be snow on the ground? Well, let's see what happens. Mom, said David, when will it snow? I think soon, said Mom. Why don't you help make cookies while you wait? Isn't that a nice idea, baking cookies? Sounds like it would pass the time by quite nicely. So, David helped Mom make cookies. He took the sugar and raisins and flour from the cupboard. He measured out 2 cups of sugar. He measured out 1 cup of raisins. But then the flour, white and fine, made David think of snow. Flour can remind you a little bit of snow, right? Only not so cold. So he decided to check the weather. Small flakes fell softly, white and fine. So I don't know if you can see, but I can see just little dots of snow falling right now. Do you think that's all it's going to be? Do you think it's going to be a huge snowstorm? Well, let's find out. Mom, said David, do you think it will snow taller than the grass? I think so, said Mom. Why don't you help clean the bathrooms while you wait to find out? Do you think that would be good, doing chores around the house to help pass the time? I think so. So, David helped Mom clean. He put out the big yellow gloves. He sprayed the cleaner. He scrubbed with the heavy brush. But then the suds, white and fluffy, made him think of snow. I'm not sure if the suds would make me think of snow, but probably the little detergent flakes would probably make me think of snow because some of them look like snowflakes. So, David decided to check the weather. What do you think? Is it still going to be snowing very softly outside, or is it going to get heavier? Why don't we take a look? The flakes were lying white and fluffy. So it looks like it's still snowing softly, but it looks like there's some snow going on the ground. Pretty neat, huh? Mom, said David, do you think the snow will cover everything? I think it could, said Mom. Why don't you help me change sheets while you wait to find out? We have guests coming. Ooh, looks like there's going to be some family or friends coming. Sounds like fun, right? So, David took the sheets from the closet. He helped Mom take off the old sheets and put on the new. But the new sheets, white and cool, made him think of snow. Wow, looks like everything's making David think of snow, right? If you get excited about snow, does everything you see make you think of snow? Well, let's see what happens. So, David decided to check the weather. What do you think? Is there going to be even more snow? Well, let's see. The snow was covering everything, white and cool. It looks like it's getting a little bit heavier now, and look, there's snow covering the ground. You think David's going to get his big snow after all? Well, let's see. Mom, said David, is it going to be big snow? It just might, said Mom. Why don't you finish eating lunch and then take your nap while you wait to find out? That'd be a good idea, having something nice to eat and then taking a nap. Some of you may be in school, so maybe you couldn't get a nap right away, or doing homework and such. So, David took his blanket and pillow from his bed. He curled up in the big armchair. He closed his eyes and began to dream. And he dreamt that it was very big snow, that the snow fell heavily, that wild wind pushed flakes through window cracks, that it howled and shook the walls, that it roared and blew open all the doors and piled drifts around the house. Oh, look at that. Looks like there's snow going in the house. Do you think this is real? Or is it all a dream? Well, let's continue. Mom, called David. Is this big snow? Yes, yelled Mom. Help me clean up this huge mess. Doesn't look like they can clean it all up, can they? So David helped Mom clean up the snow. He tried to push the door shut, but the drifts were too deep. He tried to shovel away the drifts, but the snow just fell heavier. Suddenly, loud thumping shook the house. Uh-oh! What's going to happen? David woke up. They were stomping at the door. It was Dad, home from work early. Dad, said David, is it very big snow? Why don't you come find out for yourself? So David was dreaming all along about that big snow. But it looks like there is a snowstorm, but let's see. So David and Mom put on their winter coats. They wrapped long scarves around their necks. They pulled on warm hats and gloves. Then David, Dad, and Mom went out to check on the big snow. It looks like it's heavy now and everything's covered. And it looks like the family's having fun. And then it looks like they're all settled inside when they're done drinking hot chocolate and eating cookies. And that is the end of the story. Wasn't that a great story, boys and girls? Isn't it kind of fun to actually wake up and see everything covered in snow? And the snow blowing heavy. And then you can go outside and, when it's not a blizzard outside, of course, and make snowballs and build snowmen, make snow angels. Of course, you may have to help shovel the snow as well. But isn't it great? And then you can settle inside when everything's all done and drink a nice cup of hot chocolate if you wanted to. Well, we don't have hot chocolate here, but I'm going to now teach you how to make a hot chocolate Play-Doh. And I'm going to go over step by step how to make this Play-Doh. And then when we're done, it is going to look something like this. Take a look at that. It looks like chocolate, doesn't it? It feels like chocolate. Well, it doesn't feel like chocolate, but it smells like chocolate too. But even though it's made with all food ingredients, I would not eat this if I were you. It does not taste like chocolate at all. Or it may taste like salted chocolate, but I recommend not eating it. So, in order to make this awesome Play-Doh, well actually, I'm actually going to give you 2 recipes in the email to you I sent earlier this morning. We have a recipe for hot chocolate Play-Doh and a recipe for marshmallow Play-Doh. Today I only made the sample of the hot chocolate Play-Doh, and I'm only going to show you how to make the hot chocolate Play-Doh today. But I'll briefly go over how to make the marshmallow Play-Doh as well. So, to make the Play-Dohs, you're going to need a bowl. Oh, and the recipe I gave you wields a huge batch of Play-Doh. So if you wanted to, you can either make the whole batch of Play-Doh, or you can half the recipe, and do half chocolate Play-Doh and half marshmallow Play-Doh. But we need a mixing bowl. We need some type of spoon. I'm using a plastic spoon because that's all we have here. However, because it's going to use hot water, I would not recommend it. We need flour, we need baking cocoa, cooking oil, salt, well, table salt, a 1 solid cup measuring cup, a half a cup solid measuring cup, 1 tablespoon measuring spoon, and a half a teaspoon measuring spoon. Give me 2 seconds. I'm just going to grab something really quick. And last but not least, we need vanilla extract. Now, the marshmallow Play-Doh is basically the same materials and ingredients. The only thing you would not put in it is the baking chocolate. That's the only thing you wouldn't do in the marshmallow Play-Doh. All right. Oh, you also need a tea kettle, water, and a liquid measuring cup. Now, parents, if you're watching this video with your kids, they're going to need your help with the tea kettle and pouring the hot water in and mixing the dough. And kids, always have an adult help you when it comes to hot water, okay? So, we ready to see how this is done? Alright, the first thing you're going to do is take your flour, and it's going to be 2 cups of flour. Okay, so I got my first cup here, and I'm going to add it to the bowl. And unfortunately, this is the messiest part of the whole thing, is the flour. Well, let me tell you, cornstarch is even messier. We're not using cornstarch today. And this is the second cup of flour. And that goes into the mixing bowl as well. Now, before we move on to the next step, I am going to turn on the kettle. Well, actually, let me put in the salt first, then I'll turn in the kettle. So, you're going to take your half a cup, right here. You're going to take your salt, and you're going to put a half a cup of table salt. And this is a little slow. So it's a half a cup of table salt. You may have to squeeze it to get some of the clumps out, but we'll stop right there. This is the half a cup of table salt, and we're going to throw that into the bowl as well. Now let me turn on the kettle. Next up, you're going to take your baking cocoa. We're going to measure out a half a cup of cocoa. May have to pour this a little bit. So we got a half a cup of cocoa, and we're going to throw it in the bowl. Now we're going to take our spoon and just mix that all together. And just keep mixing until everything is incorporated. And it already smells good, and I didn't even put the water in yet. So all the dry ingredients are mixed. So next up, as soon as I close the flour up, and the cocoa, we're going to take our tablespoon and we're going to measure 3 tablespoons of cooking oil. And be very careful, boys and girls, this is very tricky. So 1 tablespoon right here in the bowl. 2 tablespoons in the bowl. 3 tablespoons in the bowl. Then we're going to mix that in. Then we're going to take our vanilla and put a half a teaspoon of vanilla into the mix as well. Just include all of that into the dry mix. And we're still waiting for the water in the kettle to boil. We close up the oil. And once that's done, we're gonna get to the fun part. But a grown-up's gonna have to help you with one of these final steps. Because this can get very, very hot very quickly. So we're just still waiting for it to boil. I probably should have started it sooner. I apologize, boys and girls. Looks like it's starting to finish. Scrape some of these sides off a little bit. And like I said, to make the marshmallow Play-Doh, it's just 2 cups of flour, a half a cup of salt, 3 tablespoons of oil, and a teaspoon of vanilla extract. You don't put the cocoa in. And plus the water, which I will tell you the amount in a minute. But that's the dry mixture. Oh, it looks like looks like it's done. So, I am going to pour my water in. So give me 1 minute. Alright, so the last step is to take a cup and a half of boiling water, and remember, your parent or nearest adult has to help do this step. I would not recommend doing it on your own. Have a grown-up do this step. Take a cup and a half of boiling water and pour it in your mixture. Now take your mixing spoon and start mixing everything together until it forms a ball. Just keep mixing. Now you see it's coming together. And once it starts to come together, I would strongly advise waiting about 5 to 10 minutes, actually more like 10 minutes, while the mixture cools off. Do not touch this while it's hot. I made that mistake when I was making my sample. Had to have the burns to prove it. So wait and have an adult check to see if it's cool or not before you touch the Play-Doh. Wait until a grown-up gives you the okay. So I'm just going to wait a couple minutes while this cools off, and I'm going to grab some gloves because, but as you can see, it's clumping up. So I'm just going to go grab some gloves. Alright, so like I said, wait about 10 minutes while the mixture cools, and then have a grown-up check to see if it's cool enough before you start mixing the Play-Doh with your hands. But, as you can see, and I'm going to put this bowl to the side, I am kneading the Play-Doh now. And knead it until it's not sticky anymore. And you can always add a little bit more water if it's too crumbly, a little bit more flour if it's too sticky. But there you have it, hot chocolate Play-Doh. And you can make marshmallow Play-Doh to enjoy as well. But I hope you have fun. I hope you had fun making this. I certainly had fun making it with you. Looking forward to next month's sensory meeting. We'll have a Valentine's Day sensory craft. But until then, I'm Miss Brianne. Take good care of yourselves. Have a great day, and I will see you soon.